have everyone back on deck today? Was it the first day of the entire squad's here?
Yeah. It's nice to kick to a few different faces, but just to have hearing different voices and hearing like Tex making some jokes and Sloaney getting around everyone, and then the younger boys stepping up as well. It's been good.
How's your recovery going? And are you thinking of hopefully playing in round 1 next year?
Yeah, that's the goal at the moment. So it's pretty much pre-Christmas, continue to build on what I've been doing. Slowly integrate some contact, then post-Christmas it's pretty much build up to the pre-season games, hopefully get through one or two of them, and then round 1's the goal. So at the moment on schedule, and all's looking good from that angle.
Does it ever linger when you're running at the moment or kicking, or?
Nah, not at all. It's been pretty good. I don't know, it just goes out of my mind and I just focus on what I'm doing, just sort of, which is positive, yeah.
Have you started doing any contact work, or when does that start?
Yeah, a little bit. We've been doing, at the outside we haven't been doing it too much in terms of aggressive tackling or wrestling or anything, but I've just been doing a bit of bumping with the physio, a bit of jumping and getting pushed, so I've got a bit of stability back in, and then just little things to do with ground ball, body work in the mark and stuff like that. So not aggressive, but nice introduction, and it's good to have a bit of contact.
You said before, I guess it's nice to have some friends back. It must be a pretty lonely experience doing that kind of rehab, especially there wasn't that many injuries during the season.
Yeah, it was difficult at times. I was lucky with Doug Calloway, the physio. He's just really just well tempered and mannered, and you just sort of doesn't get too high or too low. So you're having a bad day, he keeps you level, and you're getting a bit ahead of yourself, he sort of pulls you back. So I get along with him really well. So it wasn't as if I was dreading coming in each day. But like I said, I did miss the boys, and when they all come back for a run around, and nice to have some different people to kick to.
Did you see a kind of shift in the group when it got closer to the match days during the week, and then was it a kind of thing of I'm missing out?
I'd say early on, when I was sitting at home and wasn't as at the club as much, when I was still getting used to walking and things like that, and I was just sitting at home on my bum watching the games, it was sort of tough to process it in the early days. But then once I started doing the coaching with the SANFL, it was a lot easier because I still felt involved, and coming from the SANFL for my first 2 years, it was good to feel like I was a part of the boys' journey, and like Lockie Scholl, Jordan Butts, Will Hamill in the back line, watching them develop throughout the year was really good to be a part of, and then to have the success we did and go where we did, it just brought a bit of joy and made training a little bit easier.
Is it confirmed that post-playing you want to coach?
No. Where'd that come from?
I know, I just thought if you were involved with those guys and doing a little bit of the bench work and that, then maybe you're thinking about coaching.
No, it's I got no idea what I want to do post footy. I didn't even know what I wanted to do when I got out of school. To be honest, I was lucky to get drafted, so I didn't have to pick. But no, it's something that I enjoy, working with the younger boys, and like I said, watching them develop and take steps each week, and then play on Adelaide Oval in front of a few thousand and against some good teams like Glenelg and Port. It was interesting to watch. But if coaching comes up in the future, we'll make that decision in hopefully a long way away.
Can you tell us about the off-season procedure you had as well?
Oh, just the collarbone plate? Yeah. No, that was pretty much, that was the intention. So when I broke my collarbone to end 2 seasons ago, it was play the year with the plate in and then get it taken out. But obviously because I didn't play, that sort of adjusted it a little bit. But just before I went to America, pretty much just a simple 3 little slits in there, take the plate out, and then within 2 or 3 days I was back to full mobility, and now it's 100%. So got a nice little scar there, but other than that, it's all good.
Throughout this journey, have you learnt anything about your body or about yourself?
I've been pretty lucky since I've had a few experiences in my life, especially when I was younger with family members and stuff, just to have perspective on things. And like I said when I did my knee, that I've got beautiful family and partner and the coaching staff and the playing group to support me, and I just felt lucky to have them. And in terms of my body, I just started to work on different things. I've sort of a few niggles I had, I've put them to the side. I've put some upper body size on and things like that, so that's been nice. But the mental side of it and learning about myself is just that I feel like now I'm able to put things into perspective a little bit easier, and it's just made me hungrier to get back out and play there.
You seem like a pretty positive guy. Was it hard being that so positive around when you have this kind of injury?
Early on it was. I feel like when I first had the injury, it was sort of doesn't hit you until you watch the boys run out and you realise that, because I was obviously battling to walk early on, as everyone does, that it's a long journey ahead. But once I started walking around, started jogging and getting back and if I was outside and the boys were training and it was getting a bit of voice and that, it was a lot easier just to push through it. But I've always been, like, footy hasn't always been my my number one thing in life. Like, growing up and stuff, I was a basketballer, I had other interests, and then so when footy got taken away from me, I just tried to focus on some other things, and then when I was at the club, commit to the club, but when I was out of the club, just take my mind away from footy, and that ended up being pretty easy to flip perspectives.
How many movies do you think you got through?
Well, the interesting thing was, early on, I thought I was just going to watch like 3 to 4 a day, which sounds excessive, but for me it's not really. But I ended up just like watching a movie, and then I just had like a competitive drive, and I couldn't get it through. So I ended up playing like a few different games and stuff that I wouldn't usually roll into, because I was just like, I need to do something here, and I couldn't get off the couch and shoot hoops or kick a ball at someone. So I just had to find a game or do something, and yeah, I ended up not watching as many as I would have hoped. So now my watch list is growing up a bit, and I need to start ticking them off.
You had to get into a new career as a film reviewer though online?
Yeah, maybe we'll see where that goes. I need to work on my ability to articulate the movies a bit better though, and then I'll dig into that, I reckon.
Have you found, we often hear, sort of cut you off, but we often
How
hear,
you
you know, social media can obviously be very difficult for players in terms of mental health, but it seems like just from the outside, from yourself, you've used it in a very positive way during your rehab.
Yeah, well, it was interesting because I've always felt like I've had like opinions on things, and Twitter sort of gives me an opportunity to share it. And then because I had a relatively good year, and then sort of felt like the fans were getting around me, I've just sort of been able to tweet things and then get positive responses. And then if the negative ones do come through and you just sort of leave them, sometimes I even get other people come to my defence and things. So it can be a really like toxic environment, and things can be said that people like wouldn't say to your face. But yeah, I've seemed to have a pretty positive experience with it, and that's why I tend to stick like with it. But yeah, it's been a good experience.
I think you tweet more than any other player in the AFL.
Yeah, I saw that. I was a bit like, at first I was like, nah, I don't know if I like that. But then I was like, well, what else am I going to do when I'm sitting on the couch for 4 hours a day? So yeah, like I said, I got a lot of opinions on things, and I try to keep it relatively intact. But people seem to like talking about movies, so it gets a good response. And go from
Does it show that there is a space for better athlete fan engagement, and there is a happy medium there?
Yeah, I hope so. And like I said, I've seen the worst, and it can become that toxic that I can understand why people would completely just shut down social media because the things said are just like revolting. But the medium that you can find, and then when you can have good times on it, it can be really rewarding. And like I feel like I can interact with other people and learn things, give them my opinions, like talk NFL, talk movies, things like that. But yeah, it can be good or bad.
Tom, your coaching role with the Sample, did that give you a different perspective to help grow you as a player?
Yeah, absolutely. I was telling the coaches before, I didn't realise how much sort of when the pressure builds up in a game and they've kicked 2 or 3 on you, you sort of revert back into yourself and go, what have I been doing wrong? Especially as a defender, if the ball's going over your head for goals, like how can I get better? How can I stop the goal? All right, I'm just going to lock down my man, or I'm just going to roll off. But then in the coaching box, I was just sort of listening to the coaches, and they're talking, do we move the mid around? Do we push the wing through? Do we bring a forward back? And so I feel like now my mindset's going to be more so what can we do as a team to adjust there, rather than what can I do to help the team. And that was an interesting element because, yeah, like I said, in the moment, you're sort of just thinking about what can I do better, but then the coaches have all got their different lines, and then you've got Heath as the head coach all trying to do different things to make it better. So that's the number one thing I took out of it, but then also like the development and all that sort of stuff come along with it. But if that was the one takeaway, it'd be that.
And Jordan Butts, I thought he was pretty close to a game last year. You would work with him closely. Do you see him stepping up this year and playing AFL?
Yeah, he's looked good. He's returned. Looks like he's put on a bit of size, and he's back smiling and being a little silent assassin he is. So yeah, he looks like a small halfback in a tall defender's body the way he plays sometimes. He loves to take off and use it. So he keeps doing what he's doing. I'm sure there's going to be a spot for him.
So how do you now going forward, now that you're an ACL athlete, I mean, how do you play with freedom and try and eliminate the thought of it reoccurring again?
It's a good question. I just don't have that thought, to be honest. I don't know. I haven't really done anything in the mental space to try and like eradicate the thought of, am I going to do my knee again? When I'm out there, it just goes away, and I just feel like I'm back playing. I think that's partly due to how much you miss the game, and like being away for, what is it now, nearly 7 months, like it just feels like I just want to play. So when I'm back out there, I'm just like using that time to enjoy being out there rather than being like, all right, let's just get through this session. It's more of a, like, this is what I want to be doing. So yeah, I haven't had that thought yet, and the way I'm going, I feel like I won't be, because I'm just so happy to be out there.
Has there been any characteristic of Nixie that's really stood out since he's come to the club?
He's pretty funny. He's taken the mickey out of a few blokes in the meetings, which has been good. But yeah, he just, first thing he did was either call or catch up with everyone for a coffee, even the boys that were into international. He hit them up or left a voicemail, and then when they got back, had a coffee with him. So that was obviously a good thing early on. You're a bit of trepidation, new coach, what am I going to do, how's he going to think of me and things, and then you just get a call from him saying, just wanted to say g'day and want to catch up for a coffee, and I think all the boys really appreciated that.
Everyone seemed pretty happy out there. Obviously, yeah, everybody's pretty smiles at the moment while it's pre-season, but is there a bit of a difference? Can you sense any difference this year? Or?
Well, like last year, we felt like we had a really good pre-season as well, so that was sort of also added to the disappointment, was that we felt relatively strong going into the year. But yeah, it does feel like everyone's fresh and come back, had a good break. No one's really feeling like they've been around the club too much or dragged down or anything. Everyone's ready to go, and I think everyone's just excited to be back with each other, to be honest. Obviously, it's a younger group this year, and there's like it's a bit more vibrant and exciting. But yeah, I think everyone's just excited to be back out there running around.